Today's video, I want to talk with you about intergenerational healing, intergenerational trauma, and why it's important that we heal our ancestral line. So tune in. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name's Fola, and if you're new here, so glad to have you join us. To those of you coming back, welcome again, and let's get into this really important topic about the importance of intergenerational healing and the impact that traumas through our family lineage can have on us now in the present day. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're updated on any future released videos. And yeah, this will be, I hope, something that you can take today, because this truly is in alignment with Deep Mind Squared, where we're all about that merging, the bridge where spirituality and mental health merge. So I've had my own personal experiences with this intergenerational healing over the past few years. You can check out my other video on different healing modalities where I share a bit about an experience I had with sound healing. I had something come up. It's been kind of coming up over the last month or two, or probably this whole COVID time, let's be honest, because it seems as though in the collective right now, there is so much of a focus on all the inequalities between Black people, Indigenous people, people of color, and colonialism, all the stuff that's been going on in the world right now. This healing, this awareness that has been showing up for the collective, I can see it mirroring in my own life. I mean, you can see me. I am a person of color. I would identify as such. My background is half Nigerian, and then the other half is Norwegian and Scottish. So I grew up in a mixed range of culture, if we could put it that way. And, I've just always kind of gone through life trying to embrace both, sometimes struggling with that, which I did share in another video you can check out about being mixed. Today, I really wanted to just focus in on the importance of this healing. And in the shamanic path, a lot of indigenous cultures, they talk about the 7 generations of healing. And since starting my own shamanic path, learning about, how important it is with healing our personal wounds, I can see how it goes back in the generations of my family. And the beautiful part of it is when we are willing and open to face some of those challenges with that healing work, we start to see it kind of ripple back through those generations. And they say it ripples from the past 7 and moving in the future. So any work that you're doing now, it will be passed down to your children and your children's children and so forth. So it's really important that we, embrace that some of us here have kind of been given the torch by our ancestors to do this healing, but it can be really uncomfortable. The thing that's been coming up for me, and it was really highlighted in an event I went to last night that was put on by a friend, and it was about healing internalized racism and healing whiteness. And honestly, I didn't really want to go to this thing. It's funny, I've been bringing in more of these books and ideas, people speaking events on this topic of racism. And it's been a struggle for me. And I'm assuming it's because, I'm part white. What does that mean? I've obviously struggled here with embracing both sides of myself. But in this discussion I went to yesterday, the speaker, what they were talking about was around an experience they had had. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I'm going through right now. In groups that I'm in, I am experiencing so much conflict. And it's my perceived conflict. There's not necessarily actual conflict that's happening. People aren't necessarily yelling at each other. I mean, sometimes things have gotten a little heated when you get a bunch of people into a room. I mean, what do you expect? A Zoom room, I should say. But it's really been this awareness for me of how much I can see the fact that I don't belong because of my visible difference as a person of color. And a lot of people in these groups tend to be visibly white or white representing. I am finding also that the people that I'm meeting with tend to be part of structures that or systems that have really perpetuated this racial divide or inequality of different groups of people. And this conflict's been coming up And to those of you who know me, like, I'm not really a big conflict person. I mean, I've been called the devil's advocate, but I don't really feel like that's conflictual necessarily. But this like need for me to speak my voice, to be heard, and to really like stand up for all like other people of color or whatever the case might be, it's really not my norm. Okay. But what I'm finding is this conflict, this energy has been coming up, and I know it has to do with this underlying racial stuff. One of my groups, we met with police the other day, and this was like a very interesting experience for me, like really being there, sitting in this space with everyone, and like really feeling the sense of distrust, uncertainty of like what's going to happen with us collaborating, working together, whatever this is going to look like. Just a little preface, I guess, or preface, whatever. I worked with police for quite a few years. I still technically do with my like nursing mental health job. So it's not like I'm not familiar with police, not familiar with, the way the system operates, but now I can see probably why I've kind of over the years stepped more away from working next to police. And I think it's because of this like trauma, this intergenerational trauma, that even though part of me, like, I trust police, I have no issue speaking with police, I feel like I can communicate well with them and get what I want when it comes to working in mental health, at least. Not breaking crimes here, people. But yeah, there was this feeling of just total distrust. And in the meeting, I was just sitting with it, and talked with one of my like friends after. It was in the nighttime. And this is where the intergenerational trauma stuff comes up. I could just feel like myself. I woke up, I don't know, like 2 a.m. My ancestors didn't want me to sleep. Let's just put it that way. And they were coming to me, like both my Norwegian Scottish side, like all those ancestors on the maternal, and then my paternal, like Nigerian. And I just invited them, like, come and sit. Let's sit around this table. It was like a round table in my mind's eye. And I could just feel them trying to like engage, but there were some of my Nigerian ancestors who just, they like couldn't, they wouldn't sit. There was this sense of distrust, and my body was like shaking. I felt like physically unwell. I've got this headache. I like was tired, yet I knew I couldn't sleep. You know, that like sort of feeling, hate it. And I was just like, okay, what needs to happen here? Why are you not interacting with each other? But at the same time, I knew, like this is where all this distrust comes from. It's literally this part of my generational like experiences from my ancestors and their experiences with police or with whoever or whatever systems that have maybe caused some form of suppression, oppression, you name it. And I just tried to be there and create space for whatever was like unfolding, just hearing them out, like, okay, I get it. I get it now too for myself. Why am I struggling with this conflict? How come in these conversations, with these different groups, I always feel as though something's about to be like taken, that I'm working on something and it's just going to be completely stripped away from me. I'm never going to see it again. I'm going to be left in the dust. Like that's the feeling, the thoughts that I'm getting in these groups. And again, these are with people that I've known for a long time. I trust them. Like they've never done anything to not have my trust or not earn my trust or to have my trust like, taken away. And it was like this realization of, okay, this is where I got this idea, like this whole concept of us healing and experiencing things so that we can heal our ancestral pieces. And a little bit about my like family. I mean, that Nigerian side, they did convert to Christianity. I mean, everyone knows, I think, that like in Nigeria, it was colonialized, the British, I think the French initially as well. And my great-great-great-grandpa or whatever had switched our like Yoruba traditional name to an English name. I've done healing on this, but it like that piece still stuck out to me that night when these ancestors were just coming. It was the fact that things had been stripped away about who I am through my ancestors in their experiences with whatever systems or peoples they experienced. And I'm sure there's lots of other things that I'm not even aware of that have happened. But this was just like such a healing process for me. Very painful. I'm not going to lie. I think this work can be painful. And we see that now. We see it with all the anger, all the conflict, all the sadness and grief that people are going through right now, the distrust. Like, this is why I wanted to make this, like, I understand that. And I feel like this is part of us learning so that we can heal through these experiences, our like ancestral lineage. Because again, like our ancestors, the blood literally runs through our veins. The DNA, which we can like fix, we can change their DNA, which we can change, we can alter with our mind. I mean, this goes down to like just science, epigenetics. It's really quite beautiful to know that we now in this time have the ability to make this change. And so in terms of like completing any ancestral work, like you could go about this anyway. Something that I've been doing over the last little bit is like taking offerings out to my ancestors. The reason I do that is because right now I just don't have the space to really make like another ancestral altar. Otherwise, I would say that's like a really great step. Things I've heard is don't try to create that in your bedroom though. And I would suggest not to because they are very powerful. And you can just create that space, you know, put whatever images or pieces that represent your ancestors on it and just spend like a little bit of time a day, like just praying and honoring and acknowledging them. And if you can't do it in your home for whatever reason, then go out into nature. And I like, the thing that came up for me in a reading was to give them like coins. I've given food. You can take food out and leave it for them, like the food that they like, not the food that you like, which is sometimes easier, but don't do that. They don't like it. And you can leave, like I leave coins, I'll take tobacco, and I will just say prayer and give that to a tree and just, you know, acknowledge my ancestry. And if there's things that I'm needing to work on, I will ask them, I'll pray to them. Another great thing that I've been doing is just literally closing my eyes, going into like a kind of relaxed state through meditation, visualization, and calling those ancestors. Kind of like I did that night where I was just like, okay, you guys need to come together because I don't know what the fuck is going on here. Like, you guys need to figure this out and I will just be present for this. But I do that a lot with different ancestors that, you know, I know they have certain characteristics or things that I know like they want to support me in this physical world. So those are just some ways that you can start to kind of build the relationship, connect more if you're not sure how. And then you can go into like deeper work here with lots of different types of healing. I mean, to me, the shamanic healing, like I said, with the drum journeys, the different forms of journeying to connect to like, you know, our spirit, to more of who we be. When we do that, we heal our own like self, our body, our mind, our spirit, like the emotional, mental stuff that's going on. And then it ripples into the ancestral pieces. And I feel like if you're watching this video, this is probably what you're being called to do, or you've been feeling something. And a lot of people nowadays aren't connected to their ancestry. I think especially, you know, in our Western culture, it's like if you're a non-person of color, it's almost just assumed you don't have culture or you don't have this connection to your ancestry. I remember I took an anthropology class in university, and this was at like the University of Saskatchewan, by the way, so like small town sort of mentality a little bit. And it was really funny. There was probably like 100 people in the class, and the teacher was like, the first day of class, the lecturer, he's just like, okay, who here has culture? And there was like 4 of us that put our hand up. I'm not even kidding you. And he just looked, and he was a pretty cool prof actually. And he's like, wrong. He's just like, everyone here has culture, you know? And it really just highlighted, it's like, wow, like how many people feel disconnected, especially if they do identify as white. And maybe, you know, your family came to North America and they had to strip away their culture because they wanted to fit in. It's like everyone can do this work. Everyone can benefit from it. It doesn't matter the color of your skin, but I do feel like it's going to be showing up more and more for people. And I can make probably 100 videos about this because I'm seeing how it's showing up in my life. And I can see how important this is for us to like really step into that healing. And I don't want to keep this video too long, so I would just really encourage you to, you know, tune into what messages are coming for you. It's as simple as you just closing your eyes and just saying, I am open to receiving any guidance and love from my ancestors. And you can just spend time in like silence. You can go out in nature, do some type of activity that you enjoy, and just see what starts to show up for you. Okay. And it can be a beautiful healing, and they are there to also help us like manage if it's painful or if it's upsetting or anything like that, because it doesn't need to be hard. It's just that it needs to be done. Otherwise, we're going to continually perpetuate this cycle generation after generation after generation. So that is all I want to talk about with this. Feel free to share this video with anyone that you think might enjoy watching it or might benefit from taking some of this information and applying it to their life. And let me know in the comments if this is something that you've been going through and how you've kind of been managing it, because I'm sure you all have amazing other suggestions that we can all apply in our life. And until then, I thank you all. This is day 30 of, the 30-day challenge. Whoop, whoop. I am excited. And I am very grateful for this opportunity to share this with you. And I hope you all have a fabulous, fabulous day. Bye.